example of our if-else if statements. This is the syntax. We have Boolean, if Boolean expression, then the statements to be executed if this if evaluates to true. Then we have else if Boolean expression, conditional code, else if Boolean expression, and the last one in the block has to be an else. We are going to take an example, different days of the week. In case we have a number, for example, say int day, then I have day equals maybe 4. So our if will be that if day is equal to, maybe we have 1, we say Monday. So if we would like to print else day equals 2, if day is equals 2, then we print Tuesday. If day is equal to 3, else if see, first compile before I make it compiles. So I add an else if a is equal to 3. I put Wednesday. So we can put up to 7. I will stop here with an else for invalid. I don't want to put a lot of code. I want code that can fit on my screen. So you can see our code. We have something like this. If day is equal to 1, we print Monday. Else if, let me bring you back. So the last one should be an else. So if we execute and run this one, it is giving us invalid because our day was assigned a 4 and there is no 4 among these 3. So if we give it a 3, it will give us Wednesday, as you can see. Any questions? Questions, please. Questions, I'm waiting. questions?
Yes, madam, I ask.
Mm.
Madam, I'm seeing you are using closing brace after every errors. I don't know why.
I'm using these closing braces because actually if you're working with a block of code, now here we've worked with one statement, but one statement each. But assuming I want to print something like this, I have more than two, more than one statement. Then I have to put them in these closing braces. So for purposes of getting used to something, that's why I prefer you put them. You make yourselves used to them. But if it's one statement, you can remove these braces. But sometimes you have more than one. So assuming we have something like that. And here we have day is equal to 1. So let me execute. I hope I've answered you. If it's one
Yes, madam.
statement, we can leave these braces. But there are times when you have more than one statement to execute. Then those braces are really required. You can see. So if I remove them, then this one will not be considered as a block of statements. Any other question? Any other?
Yes, madam. Another question.
Mm.
You said you wrote there day one, day is equal to one. Then in the then you write double quotes. I don't know double quotes C.
Mm?
You wrote day equals to one.
Mm.
Then you say if day double quotes to one. You use double quotes.
If they print F, these ones I expect that at this rate, at this time, everyone knows that in a printf statement we pass a string, and if we are passing a string, we put it in double quotes. Those are things that we studied in the first programming classes. So the very first class that we had for practical, we did those things. So at this rate or at this time, I expect that you know. Otherwise, I can't go back and teach those things of printf that we did long time ago. Maybe what you can do, you can, if you are not well versed with a printf statement, you can go on and research about it. That shows that you've not been revising and discussing. And always this there is my student of year 2, John. He has been having discussions with you, and some of you have not attended. Yet those things are really important. Even these things some of you have already gone through. But printf statement, if we want to print text, this statement is supposed to print text. So if you want to print text, you put the text in double quotes and you pass that text in a printf statement. I hope I've answered you.
Sorry, madam, I was meaning
assumes you
double equal signs. I was
double what?
meaning double equal signs.
This
Equal
double equal
signs.
sign as in our last or what we can call compare. We are trying to check whether this value stored in the variable day is equal to 1. These two, we have less than or equal to, and we also have not equal to. Not equal to is written like that. So it is a comparison is equal to 1. I hope I've answered you. We
Yes,
looked at
madam.
that in the previous chapter of when we were looking at operators in C.
Okay, madam, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay, madam, you have said that the if statement specify a block of code to be executed if the condition is
Mm,
true. Now, what if I want to
mm.
specify many alternative blocks of a code to be executed? So I use if else.
These are the many alternatives that we've just looked at. When we are starting, we looked at if. If you have one option, if that condition evaluates to false, the conditional block is skipped. Then we looked at if else. Bwe tucheckinga nga kituufu, we do something. If it's wrong, then we do something. Nga bwe twalabye, if I check if a mark is greater than 50, if it is greater than 50, I print pass, else I print fail. So if you have many options, this is what we use. If, then else if, but the last one has to be an else. You can have as many else ifs as is required. So kati eno if webeera, how it works, if I put a 3, we shall evaluate the conditional code for if. If it's wrong, it is skipped. We go to the next one. We go to the next one until one of these else ifs evaluates to true. Otherwise, we continue until we reach the else statement. I hope I've answered you.
Yes, madam, because I've been trying here, but I've realized that this last else nga tetuteekako if because mbadde ngitaddeko n'egaana.
Else tebeerako if.
Eh,
The last one in this block, inabeera else. It's the last one. But in between there, you can have as many else ifs as is required.
okay, madam.
Okay. So we are going to see the last one. The switch statement. Those of you who had discussed with John told me he didn't go through this one. I don't know how many had a discussion with him. So with the switch statement, it allows a variable to be tested for equality against a list of values. Each value is called a case, and the variable being switched on is checked for each switch case. This is the syntax. It works as the previous if else statement that we've seen. But the difference between this switch statement and the if else if is that the switch statement does not use comparison operators. So this is how it works. We have our switch, then an expression, then we have a case and a constant expression, statements to be executed, then we put the break, case, constant expression, statements, and a break. And the default, just like the other time we had else, here we have a default value, or which is option. It gives us statements that have to be executed in case all these cases don't evaluate to true. We are going to use this example of days using a case statement. So we shall have case switch. Start with the switch. Switch. Put the as our expression. Switch. Okay. Then we are going to provide cases like case 1. Then I print this statement. Move on. Case 2. Then first break. Break. Case 2. Print F. We have a Tuesday. Then we break. Case 3. Print F. Wednesday. And break. Then we have a default. And F. Invalid. We compile and run and see. So since that day was set to Wednesday, this will be printed. So how the switch works? We have our switch statement. So this is an expression. We put a variable that's holding a particular value. So we have these cases. Ingawa waliwo tubadde if, else, ifs. Here we use cases and we check this variable against these values. So how it's going to work, we have our date is having a variable 3. So we shall check, is day equal to 1? If yes, we print. If no, we continue. Is it equal to 2? If yes, we print. If no, we continue. Is it equal to 3? If yes, we print. If no, we continue. So default gives us a statement that will be printed if none of the cases evaluates to true. So that's how a case switch statement works. Waliwo alina ky'abuuza? Any questions on switch? So we have rules to a switch. The expression used in a switch statement must have an integral or enumerated type. Your value gye tulabye oba case 1 or case 2 or case 3. Or it can be a class type in which the class has a single conversion function, an integral or enumerated type. We can have any number of case statements within a switch, and each case is followed by a value to be compared to and a colon, as we have seen. The constant expression for case must be the same data type as the variable in the switch, and it must be a constant or a literal. So if we have an integer up here, our cases, this is an integer, our cases have to be integers. When the variable being switched on is equal to a case, the statement following that case will execute until the break statement is reached. So when a break statement is reached, the switch terminates and the flow of control jumps to the next line. Not every case needs to contain a break. If no break appears, the flow of control will fall through the subsequent cases. Switch statement can have an optional default case, as I've explained, and it can be used for performing a task when none of the cases is true. So this is the flow diagram for the switch. Have an expression, case 1. So in case 1 evaluates to true, that block of code will be executed. If not, it is skipped. We go to case 2. If it evaluates to true, it is executed. Otherwise, it is skipped. You go to case 3 like that. So lastly, we have the nested switch and nested if statements. These ones you will read during your free time. Then you also read about the conditional operator. The conditional operator can be used to replace the if-else statement. You read about it during your free time. Any question on conditionals before I move on to loops? Ninze. I'm waiting. Waiting for questions.
Madam, repeat the switch operator.
So we've said that the switch statement works the same way as the if else statement. It allows us to evaluate a number of options. And the difference is the switch statement does not use comparison operators, equal to, greater than, greater than or equal to. It also doesn't use logical operators. So what we do here, we have our switch. So instead of a Boolean expression, we give it an expression that is holding a particular value. Then we check each of these cases against this expression. So here we are having day, and it's holding a value of 3. So we shall check, is day equal to 1? If yes, print this. Case 2, is it 2? If yes, we print this. So what we had to note is that these values in the cases must be the same data type as the expression in the switch. Those are tuli bumu awo.
Yes, madam.
Okay. Any other question? Let us move on. So we are moving on to loops.
Madam, in switch we do not use comparison operator.
Yeah, we don't. In switch, we don't use comparison operators. We don't use logic operators.
Okay, madam.
So we have loops. A loop is an iteration statement. It allows us to iterate through a block of code. We can take an example. We manjagala printing numbers from 1 to 1000. A loop is going to help me iterate through a print statement. I make one print statement and it prints numbers from 1 up to 1000 instead of typing 1000 lines of code. When I'm explaining these iteration statements, most of the times I use an example of a case. I think most of you have used that thing
Yes.
when you're young.
Mm.
These days, the nursery schools have modernized, but during our days, we used to put maybe on a mango tree. You put a rope, then you sit on a oba enkonyogo kyeki mu luzungu. You sit on enkonyogo, then someone pushes you. You keep on going back and forth. That is iterating. Those of you who did the physics, there was something called a pendulum bob. That during practical you could oscillate. You push it and it oscillates until the pushing force is done. So these loops in programming or iteration statements, they allow us to print a given block of code a number of times until a given statement uh, becomes false. So we shall oscillate or iterate through our block of code a number of times until a given condition becomes false. So for as long as the condition evaluates to true, we shall keep on oscillating or iterating through our block of code. So in general statements bano abatuuka late nabo bannemesa. They keep on coming very late. We say class is starting at 5 and people come at 6. And at the end of the day, you will say you didn't understand. So, in general, statements are executed sequentially. The first statement is in a function is executed first, followed by the second, and so on and so forth. However, a loop is a statement that allows us to execute a statement or a group of statements multiple times. There's some stupid question that I always set in exams, asking for the difference between a loop and a conditional statement, or I could say difference between a conditional statement and an iteration statement. Conditional statement zirize so as if. For them, they are used to check if whether a given condition is evaluated to true, and then a given block of code is executed. Yet these loops, for them, they are used to execute a statement or group of statements multiple times. So this is the flowchart for loop. We have our condition. If the condition is true, we execute conditional code, come back, check condition. If it is true, we execute conditional code until this condition becomes false.
Mugende waka
Then
mukole emirimu.
we move out of the loop. We have 4 types of loops, but we are going to look at 3 of them. The fourth one we will do during your free time. We have a while loop, we have a for loop, and a do while loop. The while loop repeats a statement or group of statements while a given condition is true. It tests the condition before executing the loop body. So for as long as a given statement or group of statements is true, it will keep on executing. Then a for loop executes a sequence of statements multiple times and abbreviates the code. That's the difference, as we are going to see. For the code for the for loop, it is abbreviated. That makes it different from a while loop. Then we have a do while loop. It looks like a while loop, just that it tests the condition at the end of the loop. It first executes the loop body, and then the condition is checked at the end of the loop. So we are starting with the while loop in C. A while loop in C repeatedly executes a target statement as long as a given condition is true. This is the syntax for while loop. We have while, then the condition, then the statements to be executed. For example, we are going to make a small while loop that prints numbers from 1 to 10. So let us see. I'm going to change this. It's this. Let me call this one I. So we are going to say I. Excuse me. So we have I is equal to 1. So we are going to have our while condition is as long as I is less than or equal to 10. So we put the statements that will be executed. We want to print numbers from 1 to 10. Print F I okay, let me do that. Then we do I plus plus execute file and run. So I have an error. Let me try to find the error. Yeah, I've seen my error. I had printed like how I print in Java. This is C. I have to put a placeholder. This is C. Can also add the /n. We saw this last time that you can use this escape sequence for which slash did I use? Is the wrong one. Execute, compile and run. You can see we have numbers printed from 1 to 10. If we don't use a loop, then we have to do printf for numbers from 1 to 10 times. At the loop, we can see we have one print statement and we are looping through the print statement. So this is how it is going to work. This is our while. This is the condition we've set that for as long as I is less than 10, we shall print this. And initially we have initialized I to be equal to 1. Then this I plus plus is adding a 1 to I. So for the first round, we are going to have to check whether 1 is less than 10 and we print. Then we add the 1, it becomes a 2. Then we come back and check is 2 less than 10? Yes, we print. We add, it becomes 3. Come back and check. Is it less than 10? Yes, we print. Until we get a value of 11, which is not less than or equal to 10. Then we get out of the loop. Tulivumu bannange?
Yes, madam.
Yes, madam.
So another kind of loop that we have is a for loop. A for loop is a repetition control structure that allows us to efficiently write a loop that needs to execute a specific number of times. This is the syntax for for loop. As we said, the difference between a for loop and a while loop is that the for loop abbreviates the code. So we have for, then inside the braces we have an initializer, condition, and the increment. Let me put all my loops here. I'm going to put this print statement just to show us where the for loop starts from. I want us to compare with the above loop. I don't want to let me make another variable int a. So for a for loop, we shall have for int a for a equal to 1, that is the initializer. On a while loop, we initialize the variable from outside up there. Then we have a condition. A is less than or equal to 10. Then we have increment A plus plus. Then we have our print. So the increment comes at the declaration of the for loop. While loop yaze oluvannyuma wansi awo. Have an error. Print F. This is print F.
Madam, print on print line, line 12, it's I, it's A not I.
Okay. Thank you. Change the variable. Compile and run. So we can see. Let me slash n here. So this one here is the for loop. The upper one is the while loop. We are outputting the same thing, but in different, using different loops. This is a for. For it, we've said we have an initializer. This is the condition. This is the increment.
Yes, madam. Madam, but still explain more about the increment. Before the initializer, then the increment.
For the for loop?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Even the while loop has its initializer, but it comes outside the loop. Before the loop, initializer, you're initializing a variable with a value nti njagala kutandikira ku eno. So weba ekola ejja kujja loop checking eno value, is it less than this? If yes, it prints. Then we increment, and this increment, we don't have to use, this is an increment operator. Twagisomako egattako kamu. Kati kino ekintu kyekimu osobola okyachivinga if I say I is equal to I plus 1. Era you will get the same thing. Or if I say I is equal to, if I do something, let us first run this. It's the same thing. Ekikulu ogaseeko kamu, tuba twagala just kugattako kamu. Oyinza obeera ne loop ng'oyagala maybe to print even numbers oba odd numbers. It depends on what you want to loop. Your increment or decrement depends on what you want to loop. Plus equals 1. It's the same thing like that one. So as long as we are adding a 1. Ate ngambye increment osobola oba oyagala for example to print odd numbers. Odd numbers bw'ova ku 1 odda ku 3. So I'm adding it to. Let us compile and run. Ogenda laba loop ya waggulu awo ng'ekyusa. Olaba from 1 to 3 to 5 to 7 to 9. Nyinza oba njagala kugattako even numbers. Now if I want to add even numbers, I will change here. I put maybe a 2. That is the first one. Then I go on adding a 2. Again. So it depends. Oyinza oba oyagala printing a number mbu enva ku 10 nzire ku 20, so you increment in that cell in that way. I hope we are together.
Yes, madam.
Okay, let me get my charge. So the last kind of loop that we have is before we go on to a while loop, how the for loop works. So for for loop, this is our initializer. So after initializing the variable, we check the condition, and then we execute this code. Then we come back here and increment, check condition, execute, increment, check condition, execute. That's how it works. So the last one is a do while loop. So for do while loop, unlike for loop and while loop, which tests the loop condition at the top of the loop, the do while loop checks its condition at the bottom. The do while loop is similar to a while loop, except the fact that it is guaranteed to execute at least once, even if the condition is initially false. So this is the syntax of the loop. We have a do, then statements to be executed, and then the loop body at the end of the condition at the end of the loop. Let us see. Let me go back here. I put the one. So I will use this one still to separate.
Kitegeeza tugende.
Look at our last loop.
Nanti madam naye anaatera okumaliza.
Do
Wakiri bo bagende basange.
while loop starts here.
Mama Sina yazze.
So
Ngenda kudduka mbasange tuke.
we are going to have something like, let me copy this. I don't want to type. So our variable maybe is b space 1, and test output the same thing. 1 while b. So this is going to be a do. Then our condition comes down here. So when we try to compile and run, I didn't declare this entity. We enter the loop. Okay, let me first see. Then my code has a semantic error, not outputting what I want.
Madam, again, it's about I, print.
Yeah, thank you. Because I copied and I forgot. Thank you.
Welcome, madam.
Forgot to change the variable names. Okay. So you can see the do while doing the same thing as the for and while loop. So the difference is the do while loop, the way it works, we enter the loop, then we print this statement for the first time, we increment, then we check whether the condition is true. If condition is true, we go back and print the statement again. This means that, for example, if b is equal to 11, 11 is not less than 10, but the loop will execute. You see, it executes at least once, even if the initial condition is false, because for it first prints this statement, increments, and then checks the condition. Those are wow.
Yes, madam.
So that's how the do while loop works. We're going to read about nested loops. Nested loops are loops inside the loops. Then you read about loop control statements like break, continue, and go to. And then you read about the infinite loop as well. Any questions?
Sinyani vitabu ndende. Ana inaabisa chini.
Let's see, do we still have time for a meeting? When are the exams starting? 1G. So next time we are going to look at functions and see at before
Madam, on 15th August.
we still have a week, 2 weeks. Okay, so next time we shall look at functions and see. But I'm also giving you an assignment, and I think we shall do our test on Wednesday. But we prepare to have you have a digital copy of
Digital copy.
of your registration permit. Mbere nazo. If you do the test without that copy, I will not mark your test. In fact, it will be a requirement for you to do the test. If you don't upload it, then you will not do. So let me take the attendance. Then I'm also going to give you an assignment. You can do it. Just taking the assignment. So we are going to end here. See you next time. I'm going to post the coursework on WhatsApp.
Mama tugenda. Mama. Mama. Gwe Naamu. Naamu. Gwe Naamu. Tokojja.
wabula muka kutusaasire.
For sure, I'm sorry. But I'm not gonna take it.
Oh, your gift.